This gets you instant respect. One, say less, mean more. There's a powerful shift that happens when you learn the art of saying less. Most people believe that respect comes from being the loudest voice in the room, the one with the quickest comeback, the one who dominates every conversation. But the truth is, real respect often goes to the person who speaks less but carries weight when they do. Think about it. Who do you remember more? The person who rattled off 100 meaningless words in a meeting, or the one who said a single sentence that made everyone stop and think? Silence doesn't mean weakness. Silence is confidence on display. And when you pair silence with meaningful words, you build a reputation that earns instant respect. Saying less doesn't mean you're uninvolved. It means you choose your words carefully. It means you don't waste your energy proving yourself in every conversation. You know who you are. You don't need to shout it from the rooftops. You don't need to fight for space because you already own it. Here's what happens when you practice this. When someone interrupts you, instead of firing back to reclaim attention, you pause. That pause alone makes people lean in. It communicates, I'm not scrambling for respect. I already have it. Respect isn't given to the one who tries to dominate the air. It's given to the one who can hold the room with silence. Now, does that mean you should never speak? Of course not. But when you do speak, let it matter. People respect brevity. They respect clarity. They respect someone who doesn't drown a room in noise but instead delivers precision. It's like this. Imagine two swords. One is blunt, swinging wildly, trying to hit anything in its path. The other is sharp, cutting cleanly with minimal effort. That sharp blade, that's your words when you choose to say less. They cut through confusion. They leave an impression. They get remembered. Another thing, when you talk less, you listen more. And listening earns respect faster than anything. Everyone is walking around wanting to be heard. When you're the one who actually listens, really listens, without trying to talk over them or immediately share your own story, you become rare, and people respect rare. But let me be clear, this isn't about manipulation. It's not about pretending to listen just so you can jump in later. It's about truly valuing silence as much as speech. It's about realizing that sometimes the most respectful thing you can do for yourself and for others is to hold back. There's a reason the phrase, "still waters run deep," exists. The ones who don't feel the need to talk endlessly are often the ones with the most depth. People pick up on that, they sense it, and the respect comes not because you demanded it, but because you demonstrated it through restraint. Even in conflict, saying less works. If someone comes at you with anger, their energy is trying to bait you into matching it. But if you stay calm, measured, and concise, you shift the entire dynamic. You can diffuse tension by refusing to fuel it with a flood of unnecessary words. That's not weakness. That's power. Respect follows those who know when to speak and when to stop. It follows those who don't argue every little point, don't spill everything they know, don't reveal every card in their hand. There's a quiet strength in knowing you don't have to prove yourself with volume. So if you want instant respect, practice this. Say less. Let your silence be strong. Let your words be few but meaningful, and watch what happens. People start leaning in when you finally speak because they know it matters. They know you don't waste words. They know when you open your mouth, it's worth listening to. Respect doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers, and when you master that balance, you don't have to chase respect. It comes to you. 2. Keep your word, even when it costs you. If you want instant respect, there's one rule that never fails. Do what you said you would do. That's it. Simple to say, but not so simple to live out. Because keeping your word doesn't just count when it's convenient. It counts most when it costs you. Think about the last time someone promised you something and didn't follow through. How did it feel? Maybe it was small, like they said they'd call you back and didn't, or maybe it was big. They told you they'd show up when you needed them, and they were nowhere to be found. The size of the promise doesn't matter as much as the fact that it was broken, because every broken word chips away at trust, and where there's no trust, there's no respect. On the flip side, think about someone in your life who always shows up. The person who says, "I'll be there," and you never doubt them. the one who makes good on their word even when life gets messy. You respect them, don't you? That's because reliability is rare, consistency is rare. And the rarest of all is the person who keeps their promise when it's inconvenient. Here's the thing, respect grows in the uncomfortable moments. It grows when you're tired but still show up. It grows when you had every excuse to back out but chose not to. It grows when you could have taken the easy route, but you stayed true to your word. That's when people notice. That's when they say, I can count on this person. And that's instant respect. Let's be honest, life is unpredictable. Things will happen that make keeping your word harder than you imagined. Emergencies pop up, schedules shift, energy runs low. But here's where respect lies. If you can't keep your word, you own it. You communicate. You don't ghost people. You don't vanish. You say, I gave you my word, and I can't keep it this time, but I take full responsibility. That ownership alone earns more respect than silence ever will. Too many people think respect comes from status, titles, or power. It doesn't. It comes from integrity, and integrity is tested when your promises collide with your comfort. Anyone can keep their word when it's easy. You keep it when it's hard. And that's what separates people who are respected from people who are ignored. Respect isn't built on words, it's built on follow-through. And the truth is, people are watching you even when you don't realize it. They notice whether you're dependable or not. They notice whether your word means something or if it's just noise. Over time, you create a reputation, either one that commands respect or one that quietly loses it. Here's a reality check. Every time you break your word, you're training people not to believe you, and every time you keep it, you're training people to trust you. Which kind of person do you want to be known as? Now, let's talk about self-respect for a second, because this isn't just about how others see you. It's about how you see yourself. When you consistently break promises to yourself, you erode your own confidence. You tell yourself, I can't be trusted with my own goals. And when you don't respect yourself, it shows. People pick up on it. But when you start keeping promises to yourself, whether it's waking up earlier, eating better, finishing that project, you build inner respect. And that inner respect radiates outward. Respect isn't loud. It doesn't have to announce itself. Respect shows up quietly in the background when you live consistently with your word, and eventually, people can't help but notice. So here's the challenge. If you say it, mean it. If you promise it, do it. If you commit, follow through. And when you mess up, own it fully. Do this long enough and you'll notice something powerful. People trust you faster, they listen to you more, and they respect you instantly. Because at the end of the day, keeping your word, even when it costs you, isn't just about being reliable. It's about showing the world who you are. And people respect someone who lives in truth, not convenience. 3. Stand calm in chaos. Respect doesn't always go to the loudest person in the room or the one with the biggest reaction. More often than not, respect flows toward the person who can stay calm when everyone else is losing it. Because chaos is inevitable, stress is unavoidable, pressure is part of life. But the one who can hold steady in the middle of the storm, that's the person people look at with instant respect. Let's be real, when chaos shows up, most people panic. They raise their voice, they scramble, they get defensive, they rush into decisions they'll regret later. That's human nature, but calm is different. Calm is strength under control. It doesn't mean you don't feel pressure. It means you choose not to let the pressure own you. And that choice alone separates you from the crowd. Think about the people you've respected most in your own life. Chances are, they weren't the ones who freaked out when things went wrong. They were the ones who kept their composure. When everyone else was throwing gasoline on the fire, they were the ones holding the water bucket. That's leadership, that's maturity, and it earns respect in seconds. Now, calm isn't passive. It doesn't mean sitting back and doing nothing. It means being deliberate. It means slowing down when others speed up. It means taking a breath before you speak, taking a moment before you act, and reminding yourself that reacting fast isn't always reacting well. People watch how you respond in difficult moments more than they watch how you behave in easy ones. Chaos is the test, and if you can stay grounded when the room is tense, people notice. They may not say it out loud, but they're thinking, I respect the way they handled that. Calm also protects your credibility. When you lose control, when you lash out, when you let chaos dictate your words, you give your power away. You can't take words back once they're said. You can't undo the damage of panic decisions. But when you stay calm, you keep your influence. You show people that your voice and your actions can be trusted even when things get tough. Here's something powerful. Calm is contagious. Walk into a room of panic, and if you hold steady, people start to match you. Your calm presence reassures them. It shifts the atmosphere. Respect doesn't just come from your calm, it spreads through it. You become the anchor in the storm, and people naturally gravitate toward you because they need stability. Now, does this mean you'll never feel stress or fear? Of course not. Calm doesn't mean the absence of emotion. It means mastering it. It means not letting emotion run the show. You acknowledge it, but you don't obey it. You feel it, but you don't let it hijack your response. So how do you build this kind of calm? You practice. You slow your breathing when tension rises. You train yourself to pause before you answer. You ask yourself, will what I say right now help or hurt? You remind yourself that panic never solves problems. It only creates more. It's not easy. It takes discipline. But here's the reward. People instantly respect the one who can stay steady under pressure. Because that's rare, and rare is respected. Here's another truth. Calm doesn't just earn the respect of others. It earns your own self-respect. When you look back on a heated situation and realize you stayed composed, you feel stronger. You trust yourself more. You build inner confidence that says, no matter what comes, I can handle it. That self-trust is a foundation people can see, and it commands respect without you ever asking for it. So here's the takeaway. Chaos will come, pressure will come, stress will come. You can't avoid it, but you can choose how you stand in it. And when you choose calm, when you decide not to let the storm control you, you gain instant respect. Because in a world full of noise, anger, and panic, calm is strength, calm is leadership, calm is respect. For disagree without disrespect. Respect isn't about always agreeing with people. That's a myth. If respect required agreement, we'd only respect the people who think exactly like us, and that would be a very small circle. Real respect shows up when you can stand your ground, share your perspective, and even disagree strongly without tearing the other person down. That's rare today. Most of the time, disagreement turns into a fight. People raise their voices, they mock, they belittle, they try to win the conversation instead of seeking understanding. And here's the truth. The louder someone tries to prove they're right, the more respect they actually lose, because respect doesn't come from dominating. It comes from demonstrating control. When you can disagree without disrespect, you show something powerful, maturity. You show that your worth isn't tied to someone else's approval. You show that you value people even when you don't share their opinions, and people notice that. Even if they don't agree with you, they'll respect the way you handled yourself. Think about the people you admire most. Chances are, it's not because they always saw eye to eye with you. It's because they knew how to hold their position with dignity. They didn't need to crush you to make their point. They made their case, listened to yours, and walked away with their integrity intact. That's strength. Let's break it down. When someone says something you disagree with, you have options. You can get defensive, cut them off, and fire back, which almost always escalates things. Or you can stay calm, let them finish, and respond with clarity instead of emotion. The second option earns respect. Why? Because it shows discipline. It shows you value the conversation more than the conflict. Here's the secret. Disagreeing without disrespect isn't about changing their mind. It's about showing who you are. People might not remember your exact words, but they'll remember how you made them feel. If you belittle them, they'll feel small. If you mock them, they'll feel angry. But if you treat them with dignity, even in disagreement, they'll feel respected, and often they'll return that respect to you. This doesn't mean you avoid hard truths. Respect doesn't mean silence. You can still stand firm. You can still speak with conviction, But the difference is how you do it. You don't insult. You don't roll your eyes. You don't talk over them. You communicate in a way that says, I hear you, I value you, and I still stand where I stand. That balance is rare, and rare earns respect. Now, let's be clear. Disagreeing without disrespect doesn't mean everyone will suddenly like you. Some people may still walk away frustrated. Some may still argue. But here's the thing. Even if they don't like your position, they'll respect your composure, and over time, that respect carries more weight than momentary agreement. Think about leaders, mentors, or colleagues you respect. Many of them probably disagreed with you at some point. But the reason you respect them is because they never made you feel small for thinking differently. They disagreed, but they still treated you as human, as valuable, as worthy of dignity. That's the kind of presence that leaves a mark. And here's something powerful. When you practice this, you build bridges instead of walls. You may not change their mind, but you open the door for future conversations. You leave space for respect to grow, and that space often leads to influence, something you'll never get if you let disrespect take over. So how do you practice it? Start by listening more than you speak. When someone disagrees with you, don't jump to defend yourself immediately. Ask questions, understand their point of view. Then, when it's your turn, speak calmly, directly, and without malice. Remind yourself, the goal isn't to destroy, it's to be heard and to leave the conversation with respect intact. At the end of the day, disagreeing without disrespect is about integrity. It's about choosing not to sacrifice your character just to win an argument. And when people see that, when they see that you can stand firm without being cruel, they'll give you something far more valuable than agreement. They'll give you respect. So next time you face a disagreement, remember this. The way you handle it says more about you than the outcome of the argument. Choose respect, because when you do, you don't just disagree well, you gain instant respect, no matter the result. 5. Protect the absent if you want instant respect. There's one move that almost always earns it. Defend the person who isn't in the room. It's easy to talk well about someone when they're around. It's easy to nod along when they can hear your words. But the real test of character comes when they're not there to defend themselves. Most people do the opposite. When someone leaves the room, suddenly the whispers start. The jokes, the criticisms, the gossip. It feels safe because the person isn't present. It feels harmless because they'll never know. But here's the truth. The way you talk about people who aren't in the room says more about you than it does about them, and everyone listening knows it. Respect isn't built when you join the gossip, it's built when you shut it down. When you say, hey, they're not here to explain themselves, so maybe let's not go there. Or, I know they have their flaws, but they're not as bad as we're making them out to be. It doesn't have to be a long speech. Just a small act of integrity, and that act commands respect instantly. Why? Because courage is rare. It takes courage to protect someone who isn't there. It's risky. People might roll their eyes. They might tease you for being too serious. But deep down, even if they don't say it out loud, they respect you for standing up, because you showed integrity in the moment where most people fold. Protecting the absent also tells people something important about you. If you defend someone who isn't there, you'll defend them too when they're not around. That's powerful. That builds trust. And trust always leads to respect. Think about the opposite for a second. Imagine you hear someone tearing down a friend of yours, and another person just nods and joins in. How do you feel about that person afterward? Probably not much respect. Because you know if they gossip about them, they'll gossip about you. It's a warning sign. On the other hand, imagine someone stepping in and saying, let's not do this. You'd respect that person immediately, even if you don't agree with everything they say. Because they showed courage and loyalty where most people show weakness. This doesn't mean you have to sugarcoat everything or pretend people don't have flaws. We all do. But there's a difference between constructive criticism and gossip. Constructive criticism happens when the person is present, when the goal is to help them grow. Gossip happens when the person isn't there, when the goal is to tear them down. Protecting the absent is about refusing to be part of the second one. And here's the truth. People are always watching how you handle these moments. When someone brings negativity into a conversation, others are silently paying attention. They want to know, are you someone who feeds the fire or someone who puts it out? And when you choose to put it out, you stand out. You earn respect not by what you say about yourself, but by how you honor others, even in their absence. Let's take it deeper. Protecting the absent isn't just about defending others. It's about who you become. When you build the habit of speaking with integrity, it shapes your reputation. People trust your words more. They know you're consistent. They know your respect for others isn't conditional. And over time, that trust becomes influence. Here's something to remember. Gossip might win attention in the moment, but integrity wins respect in the long run. People may laugh at the joke, but they admire the one who refuses to laugh at someone else's expense. And when you consistently choose integrity over gossip, your respect grows quietly, steadily, unshakably. So here's the challenge. The next time someone starts tearing down a person who isn't in the room, pause. Decide who you want to be in that moment. Do you want to blend in with the noise or stand out with respect? Protecting the absent doesn't require a speech. Sometimes it's as simple as changing the subject, refusing to pile on, or gently pointing out the good in the person being criticized. Because in the end, people don't just respect how you treat them face to face, they respect how you treat others behind their back. Protecting the absent is one of the clearest ways to show character. And character is what earns instant respect every single time. 6. Own your mistakes quickly. If there's one thing that earns respect faster than almost anything else, it's this: own your mistakes quickly, fully, without excuses, because nothing reveals character more clearly than how someone handles failure. Here's the truth. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody. You've made them, I've made them. The people you admire most have made them. Mistakes aren't what destroy respect. Denying them does. Respect doesn't come from pretending you're perfect. It comes from admitting when you're not. Think about it. What happens when someone clearly messes up, but instead of owning it, they dodge responsibility? They point fingers. They blame circumstances. They come up with excuses. Maybe they even go silent and hope it just goes away. What does that do to their credibility? It drops instantly. Because people know the mistake happened. They can see it, and when you won't own it, you look smaller, weaker, and less trustworthy. Now flip the script. Imagine someone makes a mistake, but instead of hiding it, they say, "That was on me. I shouldn't have done that. Here's how I'll fix it." What happens then? Your respect for them grows, because honesty is rare, humility is rare, and taking ownership shows courage that instantly sets you apart. The faster you own it, the more respect you gain. Why? Because delay looks like denial. When you wait too long to admit a mistake, people start questioning your integrity. But when you step up immediately, before anyone has to press you about it, you show maturity, you show strength, you show that your ego doesn't control you. Owning your mistakes doesn't mean beating yourself up. It doesn't mean dwelling in guilt or shame. Respect doesn't come from self-punishment. It comes from responsibility. You acknowledge it, you apologize if needed, and you take action to make it right. That's it, simple and powerful. Here's something else. Owning your mistakes doesn't just earn external respect, it builds internal respect. When you face yourself honestly, when you stop running from your failures, you grow stronger inside. You build confidence that says, even when I mess up, I trust myself to handle it. That kind of self-respect radiates outward. People can see it, and it makes them respect you even more. Now, let's be honest. Owning mistakes is uncomfortable. It can sting your pride. It can make you feel vulnerable, but vulnerability isn't weakness. Vulnerability is bravery. It's saying, I'm willing to risk my ego for the sake of honesty. And people admire that. Because in a world full of excuses, excuses are common, but ownership is rare, and rare gets respect. Let's talk about leadership for a moment. Leaders who never admit mistakes lose their teams. Why? Because no one wants to follow someone who pretends they're flawless. But leaders who admit mistakes and then show how they'll correct them gain loyalty, they gain respect, because they model the very thing they ask of others, responsibility. And this doesn't just apply to big mistakes, it applies to the small ones too. Did you snap at someone unfairly? Own it. Did you miss a deadline? Own it. Did you drop the ball on a promise? Own it. The size of the mistake doesn't matter nearly as much as the speed of your ownership. Here's the key: when you own your mistakes, don't add a but. Don't say, I messed up, but, because everything before but disappears. The moment you add excuses, you dilute the power of your honesty. Just say it plainly: I messed up, I'm sorry, here's what I'll do better. That directness earns more respect than 1,000 excuses ever could. So why does this work? Because it shows you value truth over image. It shows you're willing to be accountable, even when it costs you comfort, and people respect those who live in truth. Mistakes are inevitable. What's optional is how you respond. Excuses erode respect. Ownership earns it, and the faster you take responsibility, the faster you gain instant respect from the people around you. So next time you fall short, and you will choose ownership, choose honesty, choose to take responsibility without delay. Because when you do, you don't just fix the mistake, you elevate yourself, you gain trust, you gain credibility, and you gain the one thing you were looking for all along: respect. The path to instant respect. Respect is one of those things everyone wants, but few people truly know how to earn. And the truth we've uncovered today is this: respect doesn't come from demanding it, forcing it, or pretending to have it. It comes from how you live, moment by moment, choice by choice. You earn it when you say less and mean more, when your words carry weight because you don't waste them. You earn it when you keep your word even when it costs you, when people learn they can count on you no matter what. You earn it when you stand calm in chaos, when your steady presence becomes the anchor others look to in the storm. You earn it when you disagree without disrespect, when you prove that dignity matters more than winning arguments. You earn it when you protect the absent, when you show integrity by standing up for those who aren't there to defend themselves. And you earn it when you own your mistakes quickly, when you value truth over ego and responsibility over excuses. None of these require wealth, status, or power. They don't require a special title or a certain background. They're choices, and the beauty of choices is this: anyone can make them. Respect isn't reserved for a select few, it's available to anyone willing to live with integrity, humility, and courage. The world is full of noise, excuses, gossip, and anger. But when you step into the rare habits of restraint, honesty, and calm strength, you stand out instantly. You don't have to chase respect. You don't have to beg for it. You don't even have to talk about it. Respect will find you because people can't help but notice a life lived with character. So here's the challenge I'll leave you with. Start today. Pick one of these 6, practice it, live it out in small ways. Then add the others one by one. Over time, you'll notice the shift, not just in how people see you, but in how you see yourself, because real respect begins within. And when you live it out, you won't just earn instant respect, you'll keep it. And that, right there, is the foundation of a life that leaves a lasting impact.